So we're on day 7, and so it's the day after the end of the MDS. We're back in sunny Wasizat, having just recovered from the MDS 2015, 30th edition. And I have here Susie Chan, who has done the MDS before in 2013. And welcome, Susie.
Hello, hi Steve.
So, Susie, since you did it in 2013, you've obviously been and done quite a few other things. And so tell me about what position you came in 2013 and where you think you've come this time.
So in 2013, my main goal was just to finish the race. And I did a lot of very specific heavy backpack training and a lot of miles and long miles day after day. And I think I'll be honest, I was very fearful of the race. When I came out here, it seemed quite intimidating, but all I wanted to do was to finish. So I ran very slow and steady, and then I walked an awful lot. And I was very pleased. I mean, I had a huge amount of fun. I made some fantastic friends for life in my tent, and I think I came the late 600s, probably about over halfway, which for me at the time I was just elated with. I can remember being in quite a lot of pain. I can remember my feet being quite ruined after the race, but for me it was all about the medal and the finish. So it was job done as far as I was concerned. And
you've come back this year and you've surprised everyone, probably no more than yourself, in terms of actually how well you've done this year.
Well, I had a bit of a different strategy this year. I was a lot less stressed about the race in terms of training. I was a bit more relaxed, and I'd spent a lot of time doing speed work and trying to get faster just in general. And I decided just to do a lot less backpack running. I left it quite late, which did worry me towards the end. And I decided I was just going to try and come away from this race having felt that I gave it my all in terms of running. I just wanted to run as much as I could, which I did this time. Even when I wanted to stop running, I kept running.
Sounds like a great strategy. So this year was fairly kind to us in terms of weather, wasn't it? Because we had the wind, and the heat was mitigated by the wind. Did that help your performance?
I think so. Both the things which I did for both races was heat training. I think it's really important to be able to understand how your body reacts in the heat, and I did that both times. And this time I was a little bit more scientific about it. I went into a heat chamber and pushed myself to see how my body reacted up to a certain heat, so I could read if I was pushing too hard. So that worked quite well. But I think on every day that I was out there, the wind was quite nice. It was quite welcoming. There was no particular day where it felt too hot for me. Other people have probably said different things, but for me, it really didn't bother me, and I would say definitely helped me this time.
Okay, so for anyone considering doing the MDS who has never done, and this is a bit that interests me, who's never done an ultra before and they come to an MDS, and we have quite a few people who've done that, what would be your advice to them?
Heat and feet are the two things. People who have actually come to me and asked me about this, and obviously get some training, get some miles in your legs. That's an important thing to do. It's useful to go and to have an experience of a multi-stage ultra. There's various different ones you can do. Good races, which you actually meet a lot of other MDS people, which can be quite fun. So that will make it feel a bit more familiar when you arrive. But toughen your feet, something I did both times, and heat training I think is quite important. The thing which you see people suffer the most are those two things, and the thing which can make people rapidly deteriorate is when they overheat and when they don't quite understand what's happening to them. So for me, I would say those are the top two things.
And as a lady on the event, how would you describe and what would you say to any other lady who wants to come and do the MDS?
Oh, come and do it. Yeah, definitely. It's not. There's a lot of men here. There's a lot of guys here, and women are slightly underrepresented, I think. But that doesn't mean by any chance that it's not for women at all. I really encourage women to come and have a go. The thing about the race is if you look at the amount of people that do it, and you look at the amount of people that don't actually make it, it's a really small number compared to many other ultras which you see. So it is a doable race, and what you do have at the MDS is a huge amount of support from medical teams, from all the checkpoint staff, and everybody wants you to finish, and they do what they can to help you over the finish line. And that's whether you're the fastest at the front or the slowest at the back. The support all along the way is fantastic, and you're never alone. So don't be afraid by what you think might be rough conditions. I mean, it is you're going to get dirty. You're not going to be able to wash your hair. All of those things, but it's all part of the fun.
Okay, so any low points and high points of the event?
So, I mean, I came here with my boyfriend, my partner Sean, and we both have very similar abilities. And he had an absolute shocker on day 2. He started to overheat, and he was never able to recover. And the plan really was to run together, because we run very well together, and it just didn't happen. So he had a really rough, long day. I think he went from being in the 200s position down to over 1,000. He had a terrible day, and for me, not knowing where he was, worrying about him for the whole day once I'd come in was pretty tough. So rather than spending the day relaxing and putting my feet up as I should have been, I was sort of herring around trying to get news off other runners that were coming in. So that was pretty tough seeing him. I was so happy to see him cross the line, and he had a lot of support when he crossed the line. But it wasn't much fun. I felt pretty bad for him. So that was pretty tough. And then the high point, I would have to say, honestly, is the end when he finally came over the line. For me, that's one of the best things. And I think if you ask anybody that's here, when you see some of the back markers, some of the last people coming over the line, the whole camp's out and cheering. It's really the best thing. It really is the best thing.
And so there was another little surprise to you, wasn't there, this year? I believe over the finish line, I think something happened, didn't it? Am I right in this?
Maybe, Steve. Yes, maybe. I think, Sean did propose to me on the finish line, which was an absolute shock. I was absolutely exhausted. So was he, and it was just a wonderful, beautiful moment, which we shall remember forever. We met through the MDS. He started following me on Twitter, a bit of a stalker. He started following me on Twitter when I did the MDS, and he was training for his first ever marathon. And then when we got together, I told him that he had to come do the race. So he came back and then proposed, which was wonderful.
So Susie's sporting a huge chunk of something very sparkly on a beautiful ring on a finger. So Susie, can I ask you to give me 5 words that you would say would describe the MDS, individual words that describe the MDS for you?
It is challenging. It is extreme. It's sandy. How many's that? 3? 1, 2, 3. It is runnable, and it is, most of all, it is wonderful. It is a really wonderful, wonderful race, wonderful experience.
All right, Susie Chan, thank you very, very much.